Hello everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Tech Simplified. My name is Shatoto Sen, and today we have our guest Shreyas Kumar, a final year student from the Department of Mechanical Engineering from our own college, IISc Shibpur. So, welcome Shreyas.
Yeah, hi Satwata. Thank you for the introduction. I think the poster said about my work, so we can straight away get to the questions and all, like if that's fine with you.
Yeah, surely, but before going further, I just want to ask a basic question what got you started into robotics and AI? Like, what was your starting point and what was your journey all about after getting into IST Shibpur?
All right. So what got me into robotics was actually like it goes back to my school days. It was a very like unique anecdote. My father, he gave me a battery and a LED light to experiment with. So like, and since then I got into like electronics and Arduino, like just the basic stuff what you study in class 7. So like electricity was a subject, and since then, like I developed an edge for robotics and coding, and then like rest is just history. And coming to the journey part after getting into IST Shipper, I would say I was first excited to join the robotics society here, Robodarshan. But because my batch was affected by COVID, it was not active, like the club was not in its full shape when I joined. So it took some effort, but like we had great support from our seniors. Very thankful to them. And yeah, so like that got me into robotics club at IISc Chicago. And after that, I like developed my skills and then just like it was like a domino effect. One skill that I gained, it paved the way for another to gain. Like it gave me opportunity to gain another skill. And then, yeah, so that has been my journey so far after joining IST Shippo. Okay, so like coming to how the support from seniors was helpful, like obviously, like I did not know anything about the robotic society. So they were the one who introduced me to the club. What happens in the club? What is the scope of the club? What is the purpose of the club? The things that you do, the things that you should do.
So let's start by asking you some of the demanding questions from our fellow batchmates and juniors as well. So, the first is a quite common one, like is a good academic record and a mini project is like enough to secure an internship in 2025.
In 2025, as in they want to do it next summer, the coming
Hmm.
summer.
Yes, yes.
Okay, it really doesn't matter when you want to do. Okay. So, a good academic standing, I would say it's not required to secure a research internship, but it would be helpful. And you need not be demotivated if you don't have a good GPA, because all you need to do research is, good fundamentals, and that too good fundamentals in math. Your math fundamentals should be very clear, specifically linear algebra and vector calculus, differential calculus, the things you studied in first year. If you want to go into AI, ML, your probability and statistics, fundamentals should be very clear. And if that is the case, then you can pretty much work your way up really fast. You can read research papers, you can understand them, you can implement them. So that's all I would like to say about academic standing. Uh, I hope you got the point. Like you should not have a good GPA, but you should have a good fundamental of math. Now
Yes.
coming to mini project again, I think you can use it as a leverage. So if you have worked in something in a field which is related to what you are aiming to apply for, then you can tell the professor in your cold mail exam, for example, that like I have done this work in this field, and maybe I want to continue on this, or maybe you want to showcase that you have this set of skills using your mini project. So that is a way to go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Did
so
I
I
answer the
hope.
question or did I forget something?
No, no, no. Like, I hope the listener who demanded this question got answered, but I got understood, and I hope the
Okay.
same for the listeners also.
Okay, okay,
So,
okay. In case I forget some aspect of the question, please remind me because I tend to deviate from the topic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, for sure.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
So then the follow-up question is like, how about like what would you want to say about research internships at IITs as one you have done yourself in IIT Gandhinagar, as I would like to say to my viewers, and like, is it possible after second year, and how can one secure such opportunities?
okay. So yeah, first of all, it is very much possible to secure a research internship after your second year. I've seen people do it even after their first year because, as I said, all you need is a good fundamental in math. Now, how do you convince professors that, yeah, I am a good person to be in your research lab or to be in your research group? So you need to be proactive. Like you need to read the lab's work. You need to read their research papers sometimes as well, and then craft a very specific cold email. It should not be generic. It should be very specific. It should be targeted to that professor. And you might know already, like most of the listeners would know that cold email getting a reply back is very rare. So it has to be specific and you have to build up quantity also. Like you have to mail a lot of professors. So it's very tedious. It's not easy. And it's what is easy? It is easy to get demotivated. Like you mail 10 professors, you draft 10 specific emails and you don't get a reply and you're like, ah, ab nahi karna hai. Oh, bena. But that's not the case. Like you will get a reply eventually. So you gotta like you need to persevere through the process. Like if you're not getting reply with 10, go for 20, go for 30. Do 10 emails daily. So this is the time to do it in winters. You have free time right now. Right? On weekends you have time to do it. And one thing I would advise, you should schedule your mail to Tuesday mornings, like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Because Mondays tend to be a bit busy, so the inbox might get filled of the professors.
Okay, so now moving on to again a kind of a common question. So like, many students have been asking like, what makes a robot efficient beyond the programming part? Like, what can
Okay,
be done?
okay. So, what makes a robot efficient beyond programming? That is the question.
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay, so robotics is vast. Like there is mechanical, there is electronics, there is electrical, there is computer science. Even in computer science, there is a lot of things. There is algorithms, there is computer vision, there is AI, there is ML. So it's pretty vast. So what makes a robot efficient apart from programming would be like, I don't know the scope of this question, like what does the person want to know, but if you're just talking about efficiency, you can have better actuators, better motors, better mechanical systems. And if you don't want to into the technicality, you can think of efficient as, like robots which can adapt. So like industrial robots, they are hard coded. So robots which can adapt to changing environments, that can be efficient. Robots which consume less power, that could be efficient. So it really depends upon what is the scope of the question. What does the like what do you mean when you say efficiency? Right.
like they have not mentioned it completely, so I think that it may have been asked in a general sense. Like, you may answer in your own way. Anything you want to add, like to this question,
I mean,
like.
yeah, as I said, like I answered efficient in like general terms also and in technical terms also. In technical
Hmm.
terms, if you want to achieve efficiency, you can have better mechanical systems, obviously, better transmission systems, better actuators, which translates to motors in most of the robots, and better sensors, higher computational power, and all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So I hope the question was answered. to the
I mean,
viewers.
it's not clear to me the scope of the question. Let me think about the scope of the question, what the person might want to get out of this question. So, if he or she wants to know that does robotics has to do more except than just programming, then yes, there is a lot more to robotics than just programming. There is a bunch of math, there is a bunch of physics and everything, electronics, electrical. So it's not just programming. There are a lot of other ways in which you can, make your robot more efficient, apart from making it more efficient by programming in a better way. So I hope this thing gave the
Yeah,
person more clarity than, yeah.
yeah. This was, I think, this was more clearer, the answer. So, okay, so let's move on to the next one. And here another question is that how can students like improve their research skills and like start in robotics, like
Okay.
you yourself did?
Okay. So this thing I'm realizing now, and I'm saying it again and again, you need very good fundamentals in math. Like I am going and I'm brushing up my linear algebra and I'm brushing up my uh, differential equations and vector calculus. Because if you want to get into research, specifically robotics, you need to know math. You need to get to a position where you can understand the papers, like research papers. When I say papers, I mean research papers. So, and yeah, to be able to understand that, you should have a good fundamental in math. English is just easy. Like when you look at the equations, when you look at the symbols being used in the equations, you get overwhelmed. Like, what is this? It makes no sense to me. So for that, you should have a very strong fundamental understanding of math. And because I have made this point, I would also like to clarify from where you can get this fundamental understanding. So for linear algebra, you can just follow Gilbert Strang, Professor Gilbert Strang. He is a professor at MIT. He's very famous, and he has tried to explain every concept in math using linear algebra. That's very inspirational also, and the lectures are not very hard to follow. You can just type on YouTube. You can go to MIT Open Courseware and follow linear algebra. Now, for differential equations, it's actually it's called Engineering Math Differential Equations for Dynamical Systems. That is the name of the playlist. It's a playlist on YouTube by Professor Steve Brunton at University of Washington, I believe. So that is another playlist that you can follow. It will give you understanding of uh, differential equations using vector algebra, like linear algebra, combining all of those things. And I believe to get started with robotics research, if you do this much, your fundamentals would be set to be able to understand robotics theory. And in robotics theory, so like once you have your math ready and you want to get into robotics, you also need to understand basic, like like let's call it introduction to robotics, like the topic introduction to robotics. So there are various topics in that. One would be kinematics, so inverse kinematics, forward kinematics, and controls, basics of controls, classical control theory, a bit of that. And then there would be programming as well. You need to have a good command over either Python or C++. If you want to get into industry, you should have a good command over C++. So yeah. So the prerequisites, as I said it right now, I'm realizing that the prerequisites to get started into robotics is pretty on the higher intellect side, but it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding.
So yeah, that was great to know, and I hope the like the viewers have noted about what you said, the maths and linear algebra and the differential equation from where they can get the resources. I hope so. Yeah, that actually solves the basic fundamental doubt of most of the students, like from where they actually want to start their research
Right.
skills. Yeah. So and secondly, like, uh, what is the like difference between doing an internship in foreign university and doing an internship in IIT and doing an internship in IISc, like in general, like in any field, not in robotics but in general, and you may answer in robotic aspect also. So
Okay,
what
I
would
got
you
the
say?
question. Okay. So see, like if you are at your own college, IISc, and you have the access to resources and intellect, which you believe you will be able to utilize to its fullest, then there is no need to look outside. You just approach your professors. But if you feel that the like the resources are not at its best in a certain university or in your university, you would try to go somewhere where you have better resources or where the work is done at a higher level. Like by higher level, I mean better novelty, better originality in research. So if you feel that you're not getting it at some place, you would aim for another institution. Now that another institution, it could be IITs, it could be IISc, it could be a foreign university, it could be anything. Wherever you're getting the resources to do your work and wherever you're getting good guidance to do your work, that would be the best place to go. You should not decide with the glamour of internships abroad and internships in India and IITs or IISc. Because I have heard it from my seniors, like who went abroad. They said that more than you research, you roam around and you enjoy the country, right? It might not be true for everyone, and like some people obviously go and do great work there. But if you're able to do a similar level of work in India, publish the same or better level of papers being in India, then it doesn't really matter where you go. What might matter, I believe, is the LOR that you might get from the professor. If you go to a very well-known university at a very well-known professor, he or she might give you a letter of recommendation, which might, you know, be helpful for your higher studies applications. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
yeah, surely. So like so basically you have suggested the students to like go wherever they find the best resources, as I might
Right.
think.
Yeah. So if you like notice the advices that I'm giving, I might not be the best person to give these advices. I'm giving it out of my experience. There might be people who are more experienced than me. So like I'm always open to criticism. But then the advices that I'm giving, I'm trying to break down the question into very fundamental like directions of thinking. I'm not looking at what the herd is doing. Like the majority of people are crazy about going abroad. Let me also go abroad. Let me also go to IASc.
Yes.
And I want to get into research. Let me, like publish papers. Let me do this thing. Let me do that. I'm breaking it down into very fundamental, like, direction of thought that to get there, I need to get to the second floor, I should have the first floor. To get to the first floor, I should have a ground floor. To get there, I should have a foundation. If I start answering that, yeah, you go abroad, you'll get a good LOI, without letting you know that what is the purpose of going to a better institution, there would be a void and you would just go inside that void. You would not be able to get yourself out easily. You would, like, you would not learn from someone else's experience. You would learn from your experience, and that will cost you your time. So I am being able to say this now because I have went through that process. I'm in my final year. All of these things would have been very valuable to me in my second year. It would have saved me 2 years, right?
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
also want to give the viewers uh, like not only the answers, but I want to give them a way of thinking, like how they should think about topics like this, critical topics like this. It's very easy to get lost in what the herd is doing or what the masses are doing. So even if I might not be able to answer all of the questions today, I hope that I'm able to convey this message of how to think about these questions. How do you break it down, and how do you identify the gravity of each aspect?
Yeah, surely. Surely, I will like. I hope that this was truly helpful for the viewers, and it should be actually like whatever you said actually like at least helped me to think more fundamentally and like break the concepts into the most basic fundamental part as much as possible.
Mm, mm.
And so these were all the demanding questions that were
Okay.
students asking. And lastly, just I want to pack up our episode today by just asking you like what were the basic hurdles you faced along the whole journey, like uh, fundamentally.
Okay. So the hurdles I faced. See, it was not very easy to get all of these positions. I had to do a lot of hard work. It looks simple when it is done, but like when you actually sit through the process, like I remember those days when I used to wake up until 2, 3 a.m. In the night before a weekday of classes. And I used to make a Google sheet of the professors who I have mailed and who I am yet to mail, and for whom I have to read some papers, I have to do some research. It was a very long process. It's not easy at all. Like you have to persevere through that. Only then you will get the rewards. So I wouldn't call this a hurdle, but for some people it might seem as a hurdle because it's not easy. You have to give it time and you have to put a lot of efforts. And apart from that, there are some mm, moments of uncertainty, like where you're not sure about where you want to go or if you're doing the best thing. But thankfully for me, it has all worked out in the end. Like whatever I did has helped me in some way or another. And I'm very grateful for that to everyone who has played a role in like supporting me. And hurdles, I mean, yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
So, I want to add, like, did you find any difficulty in finding the resources that you actually used to study for robotics and AI, or like in your internships as a research student?
Okay, okay. So I went for my internships as soon as my second year ended, and I went via the Indian Academy of Science fellowship, summer research fellowship. So I always had a mentor for me who was able to give me the proper resources, who was able to guide me through the process, and like support me when I had any questions. So I did not have to figure it out from the scratch, but again, as I said in the start, if you're someone who has to figure out all of these things from start, what you should do is work on your math fundamentals, work on the fundamentals of the field that you want to get into, and then you are at a position where you can read and implement and understand the papers. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So that was a great episode with you, actually. Like,
Wait,
uh,
there is another thing that I'd like to add.
yeah,
So
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
I just thought of it right now. So this was told to me by a PhD scholar. So you want to do research. So what do you mean by research? Like, let's say you have this circle, which is the existing knowledge. This is all the people in the world and all that they know. And now you're expanding the circle. So to get from the center to the like circumference and try to expand it, you should know every point on that radius, which will pave your way to that circumference, and then you can find something new and expand the radius. So that is how I am relating everything. Like first is your math fundamentals, then the fundamentals of your field, and then you read papers, one paper, two paper, three paper, and then you get to the nitties and gritties of all the research work that you want to do, and then you find something new, and then you expand that knowledge. So that is what research is.
Yeah, like just start from the roots, like as I would say, like
Yeah,
yeah.
start from the roots, but don't get diverted. Like
Hmm.
ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि I read this and now I'm reading something which is irrelevant. Like like now the time you should take to do this should be at max like 2 3 months. In 2 3 months, you should be at a level where you can understand all the papers. So 2 3 महीने में ही basic fundamentals, mathematics and all that build कर लेना चाहिए. उससे ज़्यादा time spend नहीं करना चाहिए.
Okay. Okay, so I hope like most of the questions were answered in today's episode. Obviously, we couldn't take all of the questions, but I hope the most relevant ones were answered properly. And it was great to have you actually in today's episode. And like all of the answers you gave were like pretty awesome and from the basics. And like I hope overall the doubts of the viewers were answered in this very episode. So once again, thank you, Shreyas, for joining with us in the
Thank
second
you.
episode.
Yeah.
So like meet others in the next episode of Tech Simplified. Stay tuned and enjoy learning. And if you want to say something at the end,
Yeah, I mean, thank you for having me here. It was my pleasure to be able to give all these answers. I mean, if I was in my first or second year and I would get to hear all of these things, I would be very grateful. So yeah, it is a great initiative that you people have taken. And yeah, thank you again for having me.
yeah, thank you. Okay.
Okay.